All right, the ARCA West Series, Napa 150 is set for August 9th, and it's got a special person in the field for the second straight year, and that is the gentleman joining me right now, my buddy Greg Biffle. How you doing, Biff?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I can't make it out west, but of course I'm going to watch it live on our network on FloRacing. But you're going to be in that Joe Ferre number 23 again. How pumped are you? Because I know racing at Tri-City means so much to you.
Man, I tell you, I'm really excited. But at the same time, like any racer, you get nervous, right? Because you want to run well, you want to win the race. And I don't have a lot of laps in the ARCA series. So it's a challenge. The cars are similar to what I've run in the past, but I'm going in middle of the season against guys that have been running since February. So that's a challenge. Then the racetrack is funny. I told this story earlier that last year when I went and raced this racetrack, I thought, I'm going back here. It's been 25 years or 20 years I won the championship there. But it's like I didn't remember the racetrack. It's so crazy that it's been so long that it's ingrained in your memory. But I went back there and it took me a little bit to get kind of back going again. And that was something that would really still sticks with me.
So it's frustrating.
It was a little frustrating and didn't know where I needed to be on the racetrack, sort of. And I could have drove that place with my eyes closed. I mean, and so it was kind of fun. So
it's motivating though, right? Now that you got that little, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. 100% motivating that I want to go back and I still have the lack of experience with the cars and racing this season. I've only run a few races. So that'll be something to reacclimate myself back in the, in the seat of the car. And then, continuing to relearn that racetrack, if you will, some. But I think I'm going to be, a lot better this time than I was a year ago. And a year ago, we were coming through the field quick on that first segment. And I just over-adjusted for the second segment. It had been a while since I ran a afternoon to evening race, night race, and just, good old-fashioned made the wrong call.
Yeah, that ARCA West series, you haven't read, you're a West Coast guy, but you haven't ran many of those races, okay? But there are some, good talents in that field. You look at Huddleston right now, and Kyle Keller involved in the points race, and Tyler Reif right in between. And, Reif has got himself a win at Tucson this year, a young driver that's on the lips of many, as you were once, or who are some of these talents, and what do you think of the West Coast? Because sometimes it's overlooked.
It is. And I'll tell you, these guys, there's some great drivers. And you look at what they've done. Like you mentioned, he just won at Tucson. It's exactly what I'm talking about. These guys are really, really good wheelmen and got some experience under their belt and are comfortable in these cars. So it's a challenge for me to come in there and give them a run for their money. But at the same time, it's a lot of fun getting in there and going at it door to door with them. So just respect those guys. I know they're running for points and got a lot on the line, and get in there and have some fun, see the fans again, get on that racetrack. I just love that place and love out west. It's cool to get out there, and it's hot during the day over there in the eastern side of the state, but it's cool at night. So it'll be a fun time.
What is it about that place that you appreciate more than you did maybe when you were there? Because it sat as a lost speedway. It sat dormant for so long, and I know it coming back, I know, was special to you. How do you view that mentally now that we're a little older in years? That appreciation.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's funny, Matt. I tried to buy that racetrack when it was shutting down, and just couldn't put the deal together. And then it was slated to be a development, a shopping mall or some industrial complex. And thank goodness that the economy really didn't come to fruition through 2007, 8, 9, and it kind of just sat there. And then the family reopened it again, the next generation, if you will. So I'm so excited that the racetrack itself made it through that, and they're doing a great job with it. Having these races there. I know they're running other events, the Apple Cup and other
Yep.
things at that racetrack. It's a great racetrack, and I'll tell you, one of the more challenging things about this racetrack is it's 3 distinctively different corners. It's almost like a mini Pocono or Nazareth, Pennsylvania, if you've ever been up to that racetrack. But turn 1 and 2 is sort of almost a 90-degree corner, and then a dog leg, a sharper dog leg down the back, and then a kind of a wide sweeping turn 3 and 4. So it's 3 completely sort of different corners with a kink down the back, no walls around it. So it just presents its challenges to a driver that you have to be articulate behind the wheel, and you have to kind of get that the way the car drives, get that figured out.
1995, going back to that magical year that you had, you almost won the NASCAR National Championship short track race in there. Now the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts National Championship, it's called now.
Right.
But Larry Phillips, some guy named Larry Phillips, no big deal.
Whoever.
Right? No, who heard of that guy? No, beat you out by I think he tied you, didn't he? Because you had you won over half the races you competed in that year between there, Tri-City, and Portland.
Yeah, and I won almost every race. I think I won all but 2 or 3 races at Tri-Cities. I don't remember the exact stats now, but I nearly won every race at Tri-Cities, and I won about 35 or 40% of the races at Portland Speedway, which is a huge feat in itself to win that amount, that much. It's at one racetrack. But really, what hurt me was that they were able to run way more races than I was. So the way the formula worked was. I think it was all about, how many top 5s and wins and whatnot you had. But I don't know that the amount of starts counted against you. So back east, they race, Wednesday nights and Thursday nights and a Friday and a Saturday show. So I was just restricted to these 2 racetracks, a Friday night and a Saturday night. And, out here in the Northwest, or out there in the Northwest, they rain out a lot. Yeah. So, but I think you're right. It came down to we tied for wins, but I think he beat me on second place finishes or something, or even went to third place finishes. So it was a really, really tight battle with Larry Phillips, and one I'll never forget. It was a great time.
Those are the sort of years that put you on the map, right? I had never heard of you back then, and then all of a sudden, 2-3 years later, you're in the NASCAR NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. 1997. I've always heard this story about you missing the driver's meeting. You were in a truck. Tell me that you're at Tri-City in 1997. Tell me about what happened that day.
Well, it's kind of funny because I'm a little bit forgetful, or I get caught up in things. And we were running a Northwest Tour race at Tri-Cities, and Jeff Smith, the president of Roush Fenway, calls me, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and so it's loud or whatever, so I hop in the cab of the truck, and I'm on the phone talking with Jeff Smith, and I think we're talking scheduling and flights, and he wants me to come back and meet the sponsor, Granger, and all of this stuff. And I got caught up in that conversation, and lo and behold, I get out of the truck and I missed the driver's meeting, or I missed half of it or whatever. And I go running over there to Gib Repass and some of the other directors of the series, and I'm like, "Look, I was on the phone with Roush Racing, and I was in the truck, and so I think that they let me keep my spot. I honestly can't remember. I have to look back at the stats, but I think they let me keep my starting position. I didn't miss the whole meeting, so I was a little bit tardy to the meeting. But yes, that is true. Yeah.
Well, hey, it led to something really good, and
yes.
a career, between the Truck Series and Xfinity and Cup, and now being a NASCAR Hall of Famer. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I look at your Hall of Fame career, and I think of a lot of cool moments that I got to be there for. But to me personally, Greg, and I'll just say this in this little interview, and I hate having interviews. I like having conversations, but
Yeah.
to me, you're going in my Hall of Fame for a different reason. And last year, I live in North Carolina, and you know, a bunch of us did stuff, what we could. Big whoop, you know. But I was up in Swansboro one day, delivering some stuff to First Baptist Church with the Hurricane Helene, and I saw your helicopter, and it was a reminder of, you know, what you and a group of people that you're working with were doing some amazing things. How much has that impacted your life and changed your life? And what are the efforts up there? Because there's still a lot of people hurting right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Matt, it's just, it gives me goosebumps on my arms thinking about it. If you would have told me that day, I'm working in the driveway of my shop on this 20-foot skiff boat. If you would have told me that day it changed my life forever, making the decision I did, I would have never imagined it in a million years. The story goes, sorry about that.
It's all good.
Really, the story goes, I was at my shop working, and I was getting these texts and messages that people needed help up in the mountains of North Carolina. I think it was Boone or Blowing Rock. There was a family that was stuck up there, and I had been working tirelessly to try and get all this stuff ready to go on a trip to the Bahamas for like 6, 7, 8 days. I'd been working for months getting ready. And finally, this was the last piece of the puzzle, and I was leaving on Monday. And I think it was a Saturday, I'm not sure. And I just said, you know, I've read the message, and then Christina comes walking up to the shop, and she said, "Are you going to go?" And I'm standing there with oil on my hands because I was changing the oil in the lower unit on this outboard engine. And I said, "I guess I have to. You know, I don't know. If I don't go, who's going to go?" And I thought I was helping one family. I had no idea. It was so underreported. The power's out, the communication's out. None of us knew the magnitude. And so the decision I made right then and there to wash my hands, delay my trip for what I thought was going to be a couple days. I'll get right back at this again. And that's how naive I was. I had no idea. And then once I got up in the air and saw some of the flooding and the devastation, and in fact, my route that day didn't actually take me through some of the parts that were the worst. It was mostly over kind of the land and through the mountains a little bit. And there was a lot of cloud cover, so I got about 9 miles from reaching that family that day, and the ceiling had got down on me, and I was scud running through the mountains, through these valleys, trying to get there. And I realized, I look at the altimeter, and I know the elevation I'm going to is about 6,300 feet, and I'm at about 5,000 feet, and I'm, just chopping the bottom of the clouds up. So I knew I couldn't get another 1,300 foot of elevation. There's no way I could reach them. So I had to turn back and come back that day, but planned to go first thing in the morning. And that's what started the whole thing. Then, I posted I was going to fly up there and try and reach those folks. And I got over 4,000 messages in that 2-hour period that haven't heard from my neighbor, my friends, my parents, our kids, grandparents. Everybody's isolated and stuck, and we saw the devastation, some of it. And so that's really what started the thing. We were in the air, I think the first ones in the air that day, and then the next day there was 3 of us, and then that afternoon there was 8. And then, the next day it was 25, and it ended up being 80 machines by the end of the thing. I got home that night, and I posted about it. And Cletus sent me a message. He's in the air on his way up here. Before I got home and put my helicopter away, he's on his way here to help. So it just happened that fast, and people just poured in. And then the airport, there's a line of cars, people dropping supplies off and setting up makeshift folding tables and packaging and weighing the supplies and putting them into things where they need to go. It was amazing to see. But what started out was a small effort turned into something very big.
Someday there's going to be a documentary about it, because
absolutely,
I got to see a 1/64th of a 1/64th of what you got to see, and being up there with Matt McSwain and some of those guys, what they did with Operation Hilo and the airport being shut down, and what you or Garrett or friends. I mean, shoot, I helped load a Black Hawk helicopter, independently owned. How the heck does that even happen in the world? But there was just people helping people, and not only is there going to be a documentary someday about that, but y'all should, a lot of people, not just you, but a lot of people that did that should have a Medal of Honor from our nation for helping people. But y'all get medals of honor when, someday when we meet our ultimate fate. But, that leads me to one last question. Man, I love coming up to your property the few times I have. That was so much fun this year. You held the Triple B 100, which, folks, if you don't know what it is, it's a race with Crown Vics. We used to be kind of like lot cars on your property, and a lot of fun. Let's just put it that way. And we did it this year, and we were very proud to have it on FloRacing to try to help raise some additional funds. We had the barcode on there and whatnot.
Yeah.
But how much fun it was that, and looking back, you're getting off the most serious part of your life and the mission that you guys were going through, and you were still going through after it. But it's so important to have fun like that at a race like that.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, we had a great time. You guys came up and streamed the race. I'm putting transponder wires in the ground the night before, and the weather was terrible, and the folks at Harris Speedway came over and just all pitched in and helped me, and then their scorer came over and helped score it, and then Garrett, as you mentioned, Cletus came up for the race, and
they had a little bit of fun
putting the cars together. I had so much fun, and I cannot wait for this year. It's going to be even bigger. We've been doing some pre-planning on it. In fact, today and yesterday, these guys reached out to us, the big rigs, the Peterbilts and all these guys that run these big trucks on these tracks. They want to come and do an exhibition race. I'm like, have you guys seen my track? You know how big my track is? I don't think you could fit 5 of them on there and they'd be touching each other.
Just don't knock me off if I'm up on top of the.
So I'm telling you, I cannot wait to see these guys. They've committed to coming and putting on a show for the fans. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know how big it's going to get, but I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I keep on getting bigger and bigger, just physically here. So if you do, if you do decide not to go bigger with an announcer, maybe I'm trying not to grow here, but let me know. I'd love to do it again. I got to go up to one of the earlier ones back in the day when I really wasn't working, and then I got to go to one, I think, once and videotape it for you.
Yeah.
Those things are just so much fun. So, but thanks for doing that, not just with Flo, because, of course we have a network, but what matters is people.
Yeah.
Not the networks. Sorry, right. Don't fire me, Flo, for saying that. But what you do to help people is commendable, and I always respect you for that. Always have that racer respect for you. But that's a lot deeper now with some of the things you guys have all done. So, Greg, thanks for joining us, and good luck in the race out west. We'll be watching. Of course, you can tune in live on FloRacing August 9th, the Napa 150, the NASCAR ARCA West Series live on FloRacing.